today? It's such a beautiful day and I'm here at the beach and I've bumped into a very good friend of mine. You know, it's so important to find those few little moments with our friends. Chahe 10 minute ho, chahe 15, chahe ghanta ho. But in our lives, which are so busy, whether it's work, whether it's home, whether it's kids, it's hard to find that time with our friends. And yet, it's so important. It's so important to give us that sense of being and to give us that sense of individuality and to allow us to really remember who we truly are. So I have a very unconditional and loving friend here that I want you to meet. This is Rakhi. Hi Rakhi, how are you?
I'm good.
Fancy bumping into you here today at the beach.
Imagine. What are you doing here?
आज मैं कुछ अलग अंदाज से कुछ करने वाली हूँ for this week's show. So it's unfortunate that I can't convince you to stay and see what we're doing. लेकिन आप शो में तो ज़रूर देख सकते हो and hopefully you'll enjoy. It's a little bit of a BBQ quick kind of a session, so a few clues there.
That sounds like fun. And when I see the BBQ session, maybe I can try it out.
The BB quick session.
BB quick session, yes.
MTR, your secret recipe since 1924, presents A Kitchen Abroad.
When I think about barbecue, one of my fondest childhood memories is bhunawa bhutta. That's right, corn on the cob. And in my Swad Desi Andaz Pradesi way, a BB quick version is to take your bhutta and to get all that chaat masala, lemony, nimbu and tel wala flavor by using MTR's lime pickle. All the flavors of the sour nimbu and the spices are all ready to use. Or isme you don't even have to put any oil. Just simply get a brush and brush your corn with the pickle. It's as easy as just rubbing your pickle using a brush all over your corn cob. And once you've covered your corn cob with the pickle, you just simply place it straight onto the barbecue. Now we've got the charcoal barbecue working here. So I've already oiled the barbecue so that the food will not stick. Now another interesting tip in barbecuing is if you want to have some nice smoky flavors, you can actually put some herbs straight onto the coal. I've got some rosemary here and it gives you a lovely charred, smoky aroma to your cooking. Now, how do you know if your coals are hot enough or too hot? A perfect rule. If you can place your hand and count to 5 seconds, it's usually that your coals are not warm enough. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. I'm starting to feel the burn. That means that it's about 180 to 200 degrees Celsius. If you get to about 2 seconds, it's already 220 degrees and above. So this is perfect temperature for us to put our corn with the MTR lime pickle straight onto the barbecue. And for my BBQ, I'm going to have my cauliflower quickly marinated in MTR pulagri paste. It's used to make tamarind rice and it has a lovely tangy flavor, acidic flavor, which is perfect to complement our simple cauliflower. And given our Punjabis love our gobi aloo, we're going to do pulagri gobi today. So open up your packet and it's as easy as just pouring out the paste. Again, there's no need to add any additional oil because there's already oil in this paste. And so I'm going to add a little bit of yogurt because that will help me to make a paste that will easily cover my cauliflower pieces. You can see my cauliflower pieces here and I need to get this to a nice paste-like consistency so it's easy to coat them. The other thing that I'm going to add is a little bit of roasted chickpea flour. So I dry roasted the chickpea earlier, and what I find is when you add a little bit of besan, dry roasted besan, you actually get a lovely binding to your masala so that your barbecue dishes, or whether you're doing tandoori dishes, hold on to that masala really well. And the reason that I roasted the chickpea flour earlier is so that it doesn't have that kacha besan flavor. Because on the barbecue, things cook quite quickly. So if you have a look at this, it's actually become into a really nice paste-like consistency so that when I actually put it onto my cauliflower pieces, the marinade will stick nicely. It won't just be something that'll fall off or just an oily marinade. It'll be a nice thick marinade. Now, for me, the best way to do this is actually to get your hands in, but sometimes I don't like to get my hands dirty, so I'm going to use 2 spoons and just roll this mixture nicely to coat every piece with our pulaugree paste BB Quick marinade. So of course, if you want to hasten your BB Quick even more, you can just pre-boil your cauliflower and even your corn if you like. Sometimes I just zap it into the microwave for about 2 minutes, and that means that the cooking process on the barbecue is really quick. All that you're using the barbecue for then is just to char it. But I'm here on the beach and I want to enjoy the full barbecue time and flavor. So continuing with our BB Quick section here, we're going to now make paneer, Tandoori paneer. We're going to use MTR Rasoi Magic Paneer Tikka Masala. It's as easy as snipping the top off, and this gives me all the spices that we need for my Paneer Tikka Masala. Put it into my box, and now again, I'm going to make my tandoori marinade by adding a little bit of yogurt. So I've got 3 tablespoons of yogurt, 1 tablespoon of oil, and again, my binding, which is my pre-roasted chickpea flour, about 2 tablespoons there. And use this to make a nice paste. You may need to add a little bit more yogurt, so just go ahead and add that, and maybe just add a little bit more oil so that you get a nice paste-like consistency. And we're going to mix this with our pieces of paneer, so you can see how quick and easy it is to get my paste, which is going to give me the authentic flavors of a tandoori paneer tikka. Now to this, I'm going to add my paneer pieces. So we can put your paneer in, and if a little bit of the liquid goes in, that's fine. In fact, a little bit of liquid is sometimes good just to get the paneer to take on all that masala. Now use your spoon and just get all of that marinade. So here we have paneer skewers going on. Keep a little bit of space in between each piece because we want it to have space to cook through. If it's joined together, this side the masala won't cook through at all. So once you've got 3 pieces, which I think is enough on this skewer, I'm going to keep space on that side and this side to allow for cooking. I can put it straight onto the barbecue and get it to cook. So be quick in the pace that you want. As you may already know, Singapore has a smorgasbord of cultures, from the Tamil to the Punjabi to the Chinese to the Malay. And one such popular dish that we have in Singapore, which is in fact the most famous dish of Singapore, is the satay. But there is heated debate over where satay originated from. The Thai say it's theirs, the Malaysians say it's theirs, and in fact, Wikipedia suggests it was actually from Indonesia. But we can actually thank our Middle Eastern brothers and sisters for the overall inspiration, because it's the kebab that was originally skewered on swords that the satay inspiration really comes from. But in Southeast Asia, we of course use the bamboo skewers for our satays. Now maybe you have tried making satays at home, and maybe when you have tried our Singapore Malaysian satay, you kind of decided that it doesn't quite taste the same. Well, let me tell you the secret to our Singaporean satay. वैसे तो आपने जब साते बनाया होगा तो आपने बोतल में से साते सॉस निकाल के ज़रूर बनाया होगा, लेकिन आपने ये भी सोचा होगा कि इसमें वो ऑथेंटिक सिंगापुर साते का स्वाद नहीं आता। पूछो क्यों? क्योंकि उस स्वाद को लाने के लिए आपको ऑथेंटिक इंग्रेडिएंट्स यूज़ करनी पड़ेंगी। वो है लेमन ग्रास, शैलोट्स और गार्लिक। इन सब को मैंने पानी में मिला के मिन्स किया हुआ है। And the other secret to a satay marinade is that you have to cook the marinade before you marinate the chicken. So on our barbecue, we have the hot pan going. Add a couple of spoons of oil, about 2 tablespoons. And to that, I'm going to add my pureed mixture. I'm going to mix this until we get a nice brown masala, a little bit like the masala that we make to have our curries, and until the oil separates from the masala. So it's going to take a little bit of a while, but it's a fun process when you're having your barbecue with your friends to do it on the barbecue itself. So let's just allow this to cook through, and in the meantime, dice up 1 kilo of chicken pieces into small cubes. Now I've used a thigh piece here because a breast piece tends to get very dry. So the best piece is to use either thigh or a boneless leg piece. And we're going to use skewers later on. And I've also soaked my skewers in hot water so that they're not going to burn on the coal. So in here, we're going to add the masalas as well. I'm going to add my salt, of course, chili powder, haldi, which is turmeric, coriander powder, and brown sugar as well. And then give it a good stir. If you need to add a little bit more oil, you can. But basically now this masala is ready and it's nicely browned up. And we're going to use this to marinate the chicken. So let's put this into the chicken. And before I share with you what else we're going to do to the chicken to marinate it, I'm going to put back onto the stove the marination for our satay sauce. And basically for the satay sauce, it's a similar process. I had fewer shallots, a little bit of garlic, and a little bit of ginger and lemongrass that I've pureed with water. And again, I'm going to put it onto the stove with some oil so that that starts cooking whilst we work with our chicken. And this marinade here is for our satay sauce. So let's put that into the oil. And at the same time, into the satay sauce mixture, I'm also going to add the spices. The spices that we have for the satay sauce. Again, we have some chili powder. You can make it as spicy as you like. So for me, that amount of chili powder is enough because there's some in the chicken too. And we have dhania powder again, brown sugar. Satay sauce is known for its sweetness, so some brown sugar in there. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt, as well as tamarind paste. Tamarind paste is as easy as taking some tamarind pulp, keeping it in some water, and then allowing the pulp to become into a paste, remove the seeds. So some tamarind pulp. And finally, the peanuts, which are really the important part of our satay peanut sauce. And that's going to now cook away nicely. And once it's cooked up a little bit, we're then later on going to add some coconut milk. But for now, let's just allow that to cook away and to brown up. And once the spices have started releasing their aromas, we can then later on put some coconut milk in. So let's put in the coconut milk. And then our satay sauce can cook away whilst we skewer up our chicken onto our satay sticks. So you can see the color of your satay sauce coming through. And I know a lot of people tend to use the packet-bought peanut butter to make their satay sauce, but I find that the texture comes out very different. Let that cook away in the corner on your barbecue. And here we have our chicken with the cooked marinade that we've made. And I'm going to use my hand and marinate this meat. I might as well dirty my hands because I'm going to skewer this onto the satay sticks in a minute. So let's skewer up the meat. As I mentioned earlier, I've already pre-soaked these bamboo sticks. Now the way that you want to skewer up the meat is to ensure that it nicely folds in. So even though you've got small pieces, still fold it into a half shape. Don't just leave it off like that, it'll dangle off, but fold it in nicely like that. And up to you, you can get 3 or 4 pieces onto each skewer if you want to have a few more. I tend to keep them sort of together, but yet a little bit of space in between to make sure that the chicken's going to cook all over. So a few things to know when you're barbecuing. First, tip number 1 is make sure that you turn your food only once. When you keep turning it over and over again, you actually end up losing a lot of the juices and it dries out. Second tip, which is about losing juices, is make sure you use tongs and not a fork or a skewer to turn your meat, because every time you pierce it with a fork, the juices run out. So use a pair of tongs to turn your meat once. And the final tip is that don't cook your food over a flame. We tend to have a barbecue and we think that let's cook it over a nice flame that's burning. Your meat will actually become charred too quickly and you won't have the smoky flavor and it'll burn. So allow your food to cook slowly and gently over the smoke of the charcoal instead of a burning flame. वैसे हमारे इंडिया में the अंगीठी and the tandoor is a concept we're quite used to. But the home-based barbecue is something that we were introduced to for the first time when we move abroad. It is quite a Western concept, and I hope you've enjoyed our Swad Desi Andaz Pardesi form today with the barbecue cooking. And there's another thing. A lot of us shy away from doing desserts on the barbecue. But why? तो normally barbecue में आप dessert क्या खाते हैं? Fruit? आइसक्रीम, लेकिन बिना बारबेक्यू डिज़र्ट में थोड़ा अधूरा नहीं है। लेकिन कभी आपने बारबेक्यू डिज़र्ट का सुना है? हाँ, ग्रिल्ड पाइनएप्पल ज़रूर सुना होगा। But have you ever tried a baked bread and butter pudding with bananas and blueberries? Lots of B's in that sentence, isn't there? But have you ever had a baked bread, banana, blueberry pudding cooked on the barbecue? नहीं ना? तो चलो मैं आपको दिखाती हूँ कैसे हम बनाते हैं. So in a bowl, I get some eggs and I crack them open and I'm going to whisk them up quickly with some milk. Basically, I'm making a nice little custard to soak my bread in. और इसमें हम दूध मिला रहे हैं. इसमें हम अपना चीनी भी मिला देंगे. Brown sugar here. You can also use white sugar. I like the flavor of brown sugar in my bread and butter pudding. Soaking our bread in this custard mixture. Quickly से हम डाल देंगे इसको यहाँ पे. You can use any bread you like. You can use wholemeal bread. You can use the normal bread जो आप टोस्ट के अनुसार खाते हैं. I'm using the baguette here because हमारे घर में हम baguette बहुत खरीदते हैं, लेकिन कभी-कभी खाना भूल जाते हैं. So it always gets really crusty and hard and I can't eat it anymore. So it's a nice way to use that up. Or if you have ciabatta bread, you can use that. If you have raisin bread lying at home, जो भी आपको bread use karni hai, which has basically become a little bit hard and you can't eat it anymore, this is a perfect recipe to use that up. और कभी-कभी हम थोड़ा सा ये bread यहाँ पे चिड़ियों को भी खिला सकते हैं within the barbecue. So now you can see that your bread is starting to soak up the custard nicely. We're going to add to that some chocolate chip pieces. If you don't want to use chocolate chip, you can use raisins. And my plump blueberries that are going to add a lot of juice and flavor. You'll notice that I didn't use much sugar in this recipe. That's because the chocolate chips and the blueberries will add a nice natural sweetness as well. And my bananas. So you can just open them up in the skin and chop them up ready to use. Nice little rustic cooking in the barbecue. And again, the sweetness of the bananas, the creaminess of the bananas, along with the blueberries, will work nicely with this bread pudding. But, चलो bread pudding तो हो गया, लेकिन अब हम इसको barbecue में कैसे पकाएंगे? ये तो आप सोच रहे होगे. Well, I have a little secret that I'm going to show you. And it comes looking like a silver man on a knighting armor on a horseback. Sounds silly? It's my piece of foil. We're going to make little packets out of foil and then we're going to cook that on the barbecue in my foil packet. So you take a piece of foil which is about 2.5 times the size of the packet that you want to make. You fold it up into half to give you a half point mark. Fold it back open, that's my half point, and that's where I'm going to start putting my bread pudding mixture. So let me get a spoon. Spoon up my bread pudding mixture. Basically here you've got your bread that has soaked up the egg and the milk. On top of that, I add a knob of butter and then I seal this up. So easy. Roll it back up. Don't make it too tight. Leave a little bit of space because I want the steam to allow cooking process to take place. So don't make it too tight, but you can see where your compartment is. Roll it up nicely on the side 2 or 3 times to secure it in. On this side as well, 2 or 3 times to secure it in. And then finally on the top, and there you go. Our packet is ready. And it's as easy as just throwing that on the barbecue and letting it cook. And of course, you're going to cook it for about 5 to 10 minutes on each side, slowly simmering away. And you'll have a lovely bread pudding ready to eat. Please do remember to send me a message or two on my Facebook page. I look forward to seeing you next week. Till then, take care.
NTR, Your Secret Recipe since 1924, presents A Kitchen Abroad.